I know.
huge people.
I dated all of them at some point.
And I went in and, I walk in and Mel is so inclined to do, basically has no editing skills. He just kind of went, he's too small, Stro. He's too small, So I went in. And
could you hear him saying that?
Yeah. I did the number and I walked out. And then probably Andy Zerman, wonderful casting director, he said, Stro, and I think they looked at each other and said, why don't you just have him read Carmen Gia while he's here? Probably what got me the job was I opened the door and say yes, and it was spelled, YESSS, as to imply a slight lisp, I imagine. But I interpreted it as holding out the S for as long as I literally humanly can. So I held it out for about 45 seconds when I did it. And Mel Brooks, I think he started to weep. I think he couldn't believe that I would be as outrageous as that.
Right.
And anybody who knows Mel's world knows that, being outrageous is a great thing. Even if you fail, it's at least just go out there and give it a shot.
Were they dying laughing?
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
it was so funny. I knew the movie fairly well, but when they hand you sides there that they know you've never looked at, it's wildly liberating because you, A, go with your first instincts.
Totally.
And B, you are given the great pass of not knowing.
That's right.
Just winging it.
You cannot be held responsible.
That's right. Yeah,
That's amazing. So did you kind of know, I just did that thing?
No, I knew that they loved me, and it was really nice. It was so helpful to me, and my second daughter was born in the first preview in Chicago, and I needed a job, so it was kind of an amazing gift.
So the night I went to see the producers, Julia Roberts was on my right with Benjamin Bratt, who was her boyfriend at the time, and I think Neil Armstrong was on my left, and it was the crazy, literally, there's
right.
Charles and Camilla.
Yeah, it's nutty.
I mean, it really was. I was reminded of your show recently because I got to see Hamilton,
right? And
just the idea of this thing that took New York by storm, was your show,
right?
And Katie Huffman is an old friend of mine, and so the night I went to see the show, Katie Huffman was on vocal rest the minute the show was over, and we all went out, including you. I somehow found myself sitting next to Mel Brooks, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. And
Katie had, on opening night, you guys had gotten a pad that said the producers on it with the opening night date on it.
Yeah.
And I end up having this incredibly long conversation with Mel about keeping my name. Because he asked me my name, and it's Ilana Levine, and I'd kept my last name, and I think his original last name was not Brooks.
No, it was Kaminsky.
Exactly. And he was so proud of me. He said, if I had grown up in the business now, I wouldn't have done that. Anyway, we had this really interesting conversation, and as I was about to leave, he said, hold on, and he grabbed Katie Huffman's pad and Sharpie, because actors always have their own Sharpies with them, and he wrote, to Ilana Levine, my Jewish goddess.
Yeah.
Love, Mel. And that is framed, of course. And, if my house was on fire, I would grab my children,
pictures,
my dog,
and
probably my husband, too. So are your parents alive? Are both your parents still alive?
Yeah, they're 90 and 91, and they live on Martha's Vineyard. They've been married for 68 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a story that you can share of an audition that didn't end up, you can make a bold choice and it actually, like with Carmen Gia, it went your way.
Right.
Because you said yes. And you got to do the movie, too, which, by the way, is amazing.
Way back when I graduated college, which was 84, 85, we had these things called IRDAs. And IRDAs were basically an audition a lot of people fresh out of college went to let regional theaters sort of become aware of you.
Right. A meet and greet of your talent.
And you get to do the dreaded monologue.
Okay.
And now I was never a good monologuist. And actually, to this day, I think a lot of actors probably aren't good monologists because most of the time actors are not asked to stand alone and on stage and do speeches. It really just is unusual. So there were about three or four panelists there, and they take copious notes during the audition, and I did my monologues. And then this is the kind of cowardly part on their part. About a week later, you get their scribble on their pieces of paper in the mail with their response to you. And either three or four of them, all of them said, in varying degrees of politeness, get out. Do yourself a favor and do us a favor and do showbiz a favor and retire now.